Let's talk about Cat Rescue, a puzzly game about adopting cats. Welcome to Brains on Games. I'm Dr. Brian McDonald. In this episode, we're going to preview a game that's coming to Kickstarter. I think it's coming today or tomorrow. It's coming very soon as I'm recording at this video. It's a game from the folks at Dead Alive Games. And Dead Alive are the people who made Lunar Rush, which was my game of the year in 2023 when it came out. This is a game called Cat Rescue. Now, Cat Rescue is a re-implementation of an older game, I think from 2018. This second edition adds competitive rules to the cooperative game that was released previously. Cat Rescue is a game that works for between 1 and 4 players. You can play it solo or cooperative or competitively. Kids age 8 and up can figure this game out, and games take only about 15 minutes to play. Let's take a deeper look at Cat Rescue from Dead Alive Games. Cat Rescue is a super cute game about adopting cats. You've got all of these cartoony pictures of cats on the board. It's a light game, very light, although it does get pretty puzzly once the board starts to fill up. It's a game where you're pushing tiles around in order to push cats off the board. You want those cats to be face down first so they can be adopted. And we'll talk about the rules a little bit in a moment, but you're trying to just rescue as many of these cats as possible, and you do that by pushing them off the board when they're in a face-down state. If you're playing this game competitively as opposed to cooperatively, you are trying to be the player who earns the most points by pushing face-down cats off the board, or also by setting up rows of 3 or 4 cats of the same color so that you're able to flip the ones in the middle over so that they could be adopted if somebody else pushes them off. So in the competitive game, you're kind of racing to get those cats flipped so that you can earn as many as possible. You're going to lose a point for each of the cats that you push off that's face up instead of face down. The game starts with 4 cards, 4 cats dealt at random to the center of the board. You're going to have this little token. I'll tell you what that's all about. That's going to say street, and it's going to point towards the bottom right cat. Each player is also going to have 2 face-up cats in their foster home. I keep wanting to call it a stable. It's not a stable, it's for cats. So you're going to have you'll start the game with 2 face-up cats, and then there's this deck. The game ends if a player ever ends up with 3 cats in their foster home, or when the street deck runs out. On your turn, you're either going to choose to play a cat from your foster home or to draw a cat at random from the deck, and then you need to place that cat on the board. I can place him beside another cat on the board, and what you're going to be doing is moving all of these cat tiles in the direction that this cat is facing. So I could move these cats like this, and then I'm on my way to getting maybe 3 in a row. That's what you're trying to do here. You want to line up 3 or 4 cats in a row that are the same color. There are a couple of restrictions in terms of where you can place your cat, though. You cannot move this cat that was the last one that was placed. So at the beginning of the game, the bottom right one is going to have the street arrow on it. You can't move this one. So I can't place something here that's going to cause this cat to move. I can't place something here that's going to cause the cat to move. The other restriction is that you can't move cats in the direction that this arrow is facing. So at the beginning of the game is facing towards the left. I can't move anything in that direction. Once I've placed my cat and I've shifted those cat tiles in the direction that they need to go, I'm going to take this direction card, put it on the tile that I played, facing in the direction that I played it, and it's going to be face up depending on where I took that cat from. So if I drew from the street deck, it's going to be a street cat that's going in this direction, and if I drew from, which I did, I took from my foster home, it's going to be pointing like that instead, with the little sleepy cat on here rather than the street cat in the box. This is an important thing to remember to do, because if foster is face up, the next player is not allowed to take a card from their foster home. And that does complicate the puzzle a little bit. So now I have to take a card. The next player is going to have to take a card at random from this deck, and then wherever they place it, they're going to flip this over to the street side again. So it's only every second player is going to be allowed to take one from their foster home. And because the game ends when you wind up with 3 in here, You're not able to dump everything out every single turn. With any luck, eventually you get things set up so that you can get that three in a row. And this is a perfect situation for me now because I can play any cat right up here, although I might prefer to have maybe a green one instead so I can get two greens in a row. But now I can push this cat and I've got three cats in a row that are red. That's going to cause this one to flip over. Now it's ready for adoption. I have to get this card towards the edge of the board so that it can be adopted. But in order to do that, I'm going to be pushing everything over maybe this way. And then this cat is going to come back into my foster home. But now there's a cat that's on the edge. Eventually, you can adopt it. If you do push one of these cats, face down cats, off, any face down cat that's attached to it will also go. So any adjacent cats, not diagonally, but any adjacent cats orthogonally are going to go off the board as well. So if I had a card like this and I push them this way, both cats are gone and they're going to free up some spaces on the board. And that's the game. Play just continues until somebody's stuck with three cards in their foster home or you run out of cards here. In the competitive game, you're allowed to have as many cats as you want in your foster home. The game only ends when you run out of cats over here, but you lose a point for every cat that you didn't manage to keep on the board or flip over or adopt. Your wildcats are super important. Now, every player in a competitive game is going to start off with one of these, but there's only two in the deck in the cooperative game. So there's only going to be two of these, but you really want to save them until you can get multiple matches on the same turn. So in a case like this, if I manage to have these two green ones, I could put a wildcat here, push everything in this direction, and now I've got a match here and a match here. So this is going to flip over, and this one's going to flip over before I move this over like that. What skills, though, are you practicing when you play a game like Cat Rescue? Well, this is a game where you do have a puzzle. Every single turn, there's a puzzle that you're trying to solve. You're trying to make sure you don't get stuck with too many cats in your foster home, and you're trying to rescue multiple cards on the same turn. And what you're doing then is you're moving tiles around. I'm going to be honest with you. We were very surprised when we played this game how much thought was required in terms of where you're going to place those cards. What was very nice is that when we're playing cooperatively, all of us, I played it at a three-player count, all of us were working together to try and make something happen. So we would look and we try and predict where is everything going to go so that we can maximize the impact of our turns. And it's a game for 8-year-olds, and the grown-ups are sitting around thinking, like, what should I do to make sure that we don't lose this game? Should I play one from here or take a chance and take a random one? And sometimes you wanted to do that so that your next player could have a certain card that he could play that was guaranteed to move things in the right direction to set up a match. So it is a puzzly game that you're trying to solve, a spatial puzzle. So you're definitely using those visual spatial problem solving skills. It's a problem that evolves on every single turn. You do have to plan ahead too, though. You're budgeting your cats and you're budgeting your actions in terms of, do I take a random card from the deck um, so that the next player can play from their foster home, or do I take one that's guaranteed to create a certain situation on the board, but then the next player has to take a random card. So this does give you an interesting choice to make every turn, but you have to plan ahead and think ahead. And whenever you're thinking ahead and planning, you're trying to tackle things in an organized way. We're talking about examples of a set of skills called executive functioning skills. Those skills and behaviors that you need to work towards a goal. And your goal in this case is to try and adopt as many cats as possible on your turn so that you can clear the board and earn some points. There is a pattern recognition component to this game as well, in that you're looking at the layout of the board and you're trying to create patterns. You're trying to create three or four of these cats in a row of the same color. And so in order to do that, you're looking at the pattern of colors and trying to imagine how those things are going to shift. So you've got that combination then of um, pattern recognition and those spatial skills, spatial prediction even of what's that board going to look like on the next turn after I play my card. Final thoughts about Cat Rescue. Well, this is I mean, the artwork is fantastic. This is a super cute. The artwork, though, does kind of create a funny situation where it is for kids age 8 and up. And even as an adult, I find that this is super cute. These are super cute cats. It looks like a kid's game, but once you play it, when you've got adults who are talking at length about, well, if I do this, this will happen. If I do that, that will happen. It's strange that it looks like a kid's game, but it plays like a more abstract spatial game that adults would play. And it is a game that I would say it's an abstract spatial game with this cat adoption skin that's kind of masking the abstract nature of what you're doing here in terms of rescuing these cats, adopting these cats. Um, it's puzzly. It's very puzzly. When the board gets crowded and tight, it really is a situation where you might find yourself thinking about those turns for a little while before choosing. You might be counting up how many cats are left in the deck of a certain color. Should I take that chance of drawing a card at random versus playing one that I know what's going to happen when I draw it? There are interesting decisions here for a game that's ostensibly for kids, but if you are playing cooperatively, then you do have a situation where the younger kids can still participate in the game, but maybe you're advising them more on their turn because it is cooperative, because everybody's working together to maximize the number of cats that they can rescue. I think is what threads the needle maybe between the fact that this could be a game where adults are sitting and staring at the board for a while, thinking about where to place their cat tile, but they can help the kids do the same so that the kids aren't stuck. You're not ending the game on the third turn just because they messed up and wound up with a third cat by accident. So this really is an introduction, I think, for folks who aren't used to those abstract kind of spatial games. You've got the cute theme, the cute artwork that's going to bring probably everybody in, and it's a game you can work together as a family to solve that puzzle. Are there downsides? Well, I mean, maybe it does look so much like a kid's game. You're going to have to sell the more heavier gamers on it. But it is, I mean, it's a light kids game with a cute theme. It might be a filler game depending on the crowd. If they find this kind of Japanese style cat art appealing. But it really is this abstract spatial game in disguise, I would say. So thanks so much to the folks at Dead Alive for sending this one my way. I will put information about the campaign in the show notes below the video if you're interested in learning more about cat rescue. If you have any questions or comments, you can of course leave them in the comment section below the video, or you can email me at brian@brainsongames.ca. Brainsongames.ca is the website. That's where future episodes will go, and the previous ones are already up there. Brains on Games is the X handle and the Blue Sky page and the Instagram feed and the Facebook page. So we're all over the place. And if you enjoyed this video and you want to be notified of future ones, you can head on over to YouTube and click that subscribe button. Thanks for joining me, and hopefully I'll see you next time.